What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. Joining me this week is Justin Davis, Andrew Goldfarb,
Hello.
and Sam Claiborne.
3 delicious scoops.
We've got a great show for you this week. We're going to talk a little bit about the Switch bundles that GameStop is offering. There might be some shenanigans there.
Shenanigans.
We're going to talk a little bit about cheat codes.
Cool.
I know
that's
Sam
my jam.
likes
That's what I got hired for
that
at
topic.
IGN, to make cheat codes.
That paper seems very. I know.
I know.
Yeah,
I
it's
know,
like
I know.
off-white.
Yeah, you don't want to.
This is going to be a social experiment. We're going to see if people notice.
But it's got kind of a
It's been
pleasing.
spoiled now.
You like it? It's actually, it hurts my eyes.
It's goldenrod.
Anyway,
Hurts your eye.
but
Everybody's
first,
going from iTunes straight to YouTube to watch this episode of the video.
I've got to
mystery.
see what color
game.
this paper is. But first, it is that time of the year. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to start talking about Game of the Year. It's time for
It's going to be a short conversation.
Game of the Year Watch 2017.
Oh, your jingle was way cooler than my jingle.
They'll replace
I
all
like
that
Andrew's
with. They'll fix that up in post, Damon. Don't worry about it.
One of our listeners, Vito in Fort Lauderdale, writes in to say 2017 has been a blur so far. I absolutely cannot believe the amount of quality releases we've had this year, plus a new console. Can I get a consensus on what the panel thinks is the Game of the Year for the first quarter of 2017?
Fast RMX, the best space-distic racing game.
Fire
Isn't that game fine? Like that's not even like it's not like a terrible game, is it?
No, I wasn't making a joke at its expense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So since Pokemon Go in this office, I haven't seen more people talk about a single game, and it's Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
But then again, Pokemon Go didn't win Game of the Year.
Didn't even get nominated, which
Even
is
though
insane. to
Andrew
me.
and I
It's not
are
insane.
all over
Not
that.
insane to
You're
me.
insane.
Still playing
You
it.
should
Cultural phenomenon.
We
Still
say
playing.
we say every year that we want to start recording and publishing in some manner our Game of the Year meetings, but I don't know that people would have enjoyed that
Yeah.
Pokemon Go.
It was
talk.
just Justin and I having a stare down.
It's just a bunch of people saying they really loved it and me calling them big old dumbs.
Here's what we got this year. Zelda got a 10 from IGN.
Ooh.
Andrew just gave Persona 5 a 9.7.
Bias.
It's so good. It's so good.
All right.
But is it so good?
It is.
Do you have more than
Just
9.7
stunning.
Persona toys in your desk?
Yeah.
Of course.
You've
Around
platinumed.
What money
Have
hat?
you platinumed it twice now?
I did. I platinumed it in English and I platinumed it in Japanese. I went back. So I've
and
played
you're
through it.
going for German next.
Yeah, I mean, I could. I've played through it five and a half times. So
5.5 times.
230-ish hours.
That's too many hours, Andrew.
absurd.
That's
It's
too
absurd.
many.
Or is it enough hours?
It's enough.
I mean, the fact that I've put that much time into it, and even just talking to people about today and going back through my review and doing capture and stuff, I'm like itching to play it again because it's so smart and it's just.
Do you have any shiny personas?
No shiny. There are rare ones. The
You
best
don't need
way,
to tell us
All
about
right,
it.
all right.
You don't need to tell us.
the elevator pitch I'll give for it really quick
Stop.
is that what I keep saying is Zelda and then last year Final Fantasy, their whole thing was breaking conventions. Persona does the opposite. It leans into its genre, and I think it is if you like turn-based RPGs, it is the turn-based RPG. It's the definitive like
Ever?
pinnacle of the genre. I mean, yeah, it's all the learnings from all of the classic games
Give me a break.
perfected. So good, so good.
Well,
Cool. I'll have to take your word for it because I don't have time to play it right now.
yeah.
Oh man,
I'll get around to it.
I would like to play Persona 5 someday, but I don't know when I'm going to be done with Zelda.
Bucket
and that's the
list.
whole thing, right? I mean, like. It is so hard to think of something, and like I love Persona, but it is so hard to think of something that will surpass Zelda, because Zelda is like you said, everyone's talking about it, but it's also just like I never want to stop playing that game.
Nope.
Like I just every night I put a little bit more time into it, and I'm purposefully taking my time because I don't want it to end.
You messed around with those sand seals yet?
I
little
rode
bit,
I rode a Sansa last night. Yeah,
dang.
they're totally fun.
They're
It's
so
really hard to
good.
sneak up with them though.
Yeah,
I rent one.
Yeah, you can just rent them.
I don't do that.
Like
I don't
20
take the easy
20
way out.
rupees.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I've
Hot new video game called The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. There's also Neo, which got a 9.6 from IGN.
Overrated.
Well,
Did you look at that before you rated
I don't know.
Persona?
I
I
mean,
just wanted to one up it. No.
No, I mean Neo is one of those Souls games.
yeah, one
Yeah.
of those.
And they're not for me.
Yeah.
But that
really-
one's
the little
interesting
bit I
'cause it's
played
a little
it was
bit
great, so-
Diablo-ish and random remix levels and random loot.
And it's more like Japanese stuff, and I like Japanese stuff.
I like I like the change of pace of it is in that it's not like the Souls games atmosphere wise are incredible, but they're very much that like depressing, dark. Whereas like Neo is still depressing, dark, but it's like a very different type of setting, which is really cool.
What I like about Neo, I mean, I was bagging on it a second ago when I haven't even played it. I like that Souls has become a genre now, right? And so Neo is like maybe not the very first because there was Lords of the Fallen. There's been some other games, but we're gonna start seeing that influence creep into other genres, and then like it's like Dark Souls, but you know this, or it's
There's
like
a
Dark Souls
sci-fi
with that.
one. I forget the name of it. We were just
Yeah,
talking
the Surge.
The Surge.
And so they're gonna start taking them to different settings and different subgenres of video games. And you're gonna see that influence creep out everywhere. So that I really respect about.
I'd like
Neo.
to see a sports one.
Ooh,
Sports
yeah,
Souls.
the Dark Souls of Madden.
Yes,
I
exactly.
mean, all right, now
Speaking
I'm
of
You have my
sorry,
attention.
It mattered.
Justin Davis once famously compared Flappy Bird to Dark Souls.
yeah, that's the second worst thing I've done on IGN.
but then didn't Flappy Souls become a real thing? It's not a real thing.
Yeah, that sounds right.
The worst thing I did, if anybody's wondering, is a history of video game toilets.
You mean the best?
Wow.
It might have been the best video game toilets. It doesn't matter. It's terrible, and don't read it. I made
Finally-
You remember when I made Chloe write that pizza feature?
Yeah, to this day, she hasn't forgiven you.
Finally, Horizon Zero Dawn got a 9.3 from IGN.
Great game, man. That game got Zelda'd so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to go back to it because it seems really special. I just barely, I haven't even actually started on my own PS4. Like, I really want to.
I played.
So pretty.
I started it a little bit
Super pretty.
late. Well, I mean, I guess it was like release week, but that was a game that some people in the business had a little bit early, and I made it just right at the point where the game gets interesting. Like, not that it's bad in the beginning, but you don't really fight very big dinosaurs. Like the whole conceit of the game, like pinning them to the ground and figuring out all the neat stuff you can do. I just got in the open world and started doing all that stuff when the Switch came out, and I've just never gone back to it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard balancing. Like, this is probably the busiest Q1 for like really, really good, strong games that I can ever
Heck yeah.
remember.
I beat Horizon. I think it's fantastic. I think tying down those dinosaurs is great. And the past, there's a 6-hour run I did at the end because I was like, we got to beat this before Zelda tomorrow. and it's all like really cool sci-fi storytelling, like really well done. And the rest of it, like, has some, like, you know, the voice act. It's kind of like Zelda. The voice acting isn't great, and there's a bunch of characters whose voices don't match their
That's like my one big
they're,
complaint about Zelda, the voice acting.
people.
Well, yeah. I thought the voice acting was bad in Horizon. But
Yeah.
really, really
It's not
bad
great
in
in
Zelda.
either of them.
Yeah.
What I've heard of Ashley Birch herself as Aloy seems really good. I haven't really played enough to know.
the main character is totally good.
Yeah.
Really,
She seems
and
great,
I
yeah.
really like Aloy as a character. I think that's like a cool new Sony character to have.
Yep,
I'm
totally.
really
That's a cool
excited
character.
about that.
I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to push Sam's microphone.
Thanks,
You're
Damon.
you're like leaning farther away than the rest of us, and maybe that's why people were having a hard time hearing you. Anyway,
I'm gonna push it back.
Horizon. Okay.
I'm gonna put this water on it.
Horizon, I think, is like one of the best examples of pre Breath of the Wild open world games. It's like a great version of what we used to know. as
Yeah,
the open
there's a
world.
line
really
in the
worried,
sand. at
But
Breath of the
now
Wild.
we know
Yeah.
of something different.
I worry about going back to that game now and being like, I want to climb that. Oh man, I can't.
Yeah.
yeah.
or Assassin's Creed or anything that like might not have like this no invisible walls to it. Like even I know Assassin's Creed seems like a weird example, but there's definitely parts of Assassin's Creed you can't climb.
I think
It's
the true
weird.
test will be when Red Dead comes out. Like when Red Dead is out later this year, comparing that to Breath of the Wild and how a Rockstar open world compares to kind of this new sort of metric Nintendo's created, that's going to be fascinating.
So Zelda, Persona 5, Neo, and Horizon are the 4 games that have gotten a 9 or higher from IGN this year so far.
I think that Snake game is gonna get reviewed well.
Snake
That looks cool.
Pass.
Snake Pass looks cool. A little janky, but like fun because of it.
I think it came in right under the wire, but I believe we gave Nier Automata an 8.9, and
Yeah.
that game's really, really cool too. That's yet another one I would love to dive into more.
I think that
like
one
that,
really surprised
Mass
people.
Effect, and for, like Mass Effect's still a very good game. Like maybe not a game of the year contender. It's a little bit problematic, but I'm still looking forward to playing it. But Mass Effect not being the big 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10
weird.
game people expected has given Nier an opportunity to that's a game I wasn't really very interested in. But I'm coming off of Zelda
Or
now.
Persona.
I
like
yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
I think I'm done with Zelda. Like I didn't play it last night, and it's the like. So
For the first time in a month.
You
Like-
sound like me with Pokemon Go.
I played Zelda every single night except like a couple nights where I had, social, like I couldn't play. And those nights I'm like, I want to be playing Zelda. Last night's the first night that I didn't play it. And I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. And so I'm ready to move on. Like either I need to go back to Horizon or Nier. There was no room for that game to breathe. But now maybe I think there is. Like
I
saw
still have
some videos of
600
it.
Korok seeds, guys.
Nier looks,
Yeah.
You have 300 of them already?
Yeah.
Good Lord. Did you find them on your own?
I've only gotten
Yeah.
18.
Although,
Yeah, I'm like somewhere. I'm
I
like
haven't.
25
I mean, we
in
have
my
a
head.
great map for it though that I will plug, but I haven't been using it because I have to use that for my back.
I found 100 and I felt like I was doing real good.
I'm at 99.
They're all
shrines,
over.
which is exciting. I'm gonna try and get up to 120 before I fight Ganon.
yeah, I made
going
it
real slow.
I made it to about 95, and they're getting very, very hard to find.
I definitely want all the shrines. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way I'm gonna
Yeah.
say I'm finished.
So
with it.
I have a
okay, so
theory.
like I said, I'm done with the game. I think I'm done with just wandering around the game. I think now is the time where I'll pick up a guide and like, okay, I'll finish it.
Yeah, like clean up.
Yeah.
I was in a place last night in the middle of places that I've been to a million times, and I was like, wait, I didn't explore these 2 mountains and a big field between them, and it had like a shrine, like all the stuff.
I
It's
love that.
completely
That's the
new.
best feeling in
That
that game.
feeling of
Yeah.
layers.
I kept
of
on like turning around and being like, where am I?
Yeah.
It was really weird.
I played the game a ton and uncovered the whole map and done all the shrines, and I found a stable in the this is a spoiler for an area of the game, as stable in the jungle I didn't know existed. I found a stable and a really cool wooden bridge, and I'm like, I've crisscrossed this whole area. How did I not know this was here? But it's kind of like nestled in like a hill under
I'm
some
starting to do
trees.
the like outskirts of the map now, like all the little islands and stuff. But
You'll love
my
that.
theory,
It's great.
so they're just in the game. If you get 120 shrines, you have to choose. You can either have 30 hearts, and then that gives you 2 2/5 stamina wheels, or you can get 3 stamina wheels, and you can only get 27 hearts. So my theory is that the DLC they haven't talked about yet will be 12 extra shrines, and that'll allow you to close the gap and get
hearts.
what you're missing. Either 30 hearts or 3 full
good
stamina
theory.
wheels.
With story though, they said it's story.
But I
there's
think they
2
could add
DLCs.
shrines. Yeah.
I think it's the second one adds story stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What do you think that's gonna be?
I think
All
it's
right, wait,
Hold on.
All right.
playable
We
champion.
don't want to get too.
What?
It's not just a Zelda podcast. I know. On the other end of the spectrum, the not game of the year watch, the lowest rated game of the year so far on IGN
I
is
love
Double
it.
Dragon 4,
Yeah.
3.5.
Bummer.
Double
Yes.
Dragon 4, the disappointment.
Yeah,
Got
exactly.
less than a 4.
I just want an awesome modern Double Dragon.
Well,
2D
modern
game.
retro.
Well, yeah, like modern retro.
I used to say
like
that-
I want the Shovel
I don't
Knight
know-
of Double Dragon.
I don't know how you mess it up. It's like just make that game that was made 30 some
Let it-
years ago and
Let your girlfriend get punched in the stomach and carried
then
off,
go beat everyone up.
beat everybody up and take her
rescue
back.
her. I don't know. They mess it up.
or boyfriend.
What if it was a Metroidvania?
A Double Dragon Metroidvania.
Well, like River City Ransom.
That might
Like
work.
you get that tornado
like River
kick,
City
and you
Ransom.
get to break through a certain type of walls.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, it's not the worst
I wouldn't
idea.
play it. I just thought you might like it, Damon.
Why wouldn't you play it?
I don't know. I don't like Double Dragon.
Double Dragonist.
All those brawlers are just quarter munchers.
Here's a preview of big games coming out over the next quarter, over the next 3 months. Prey is coming out in May
I played the demo.
from
It was super
Bethesda.
fun.
Oh, I didn't know you played it.
You played it at Dice, right? Oh, you already skipped ukulele. Does that count?
I didn't skip it. Ukulele's coming
I
out.
thought you were going in order. I thought
I'm not going in order. This is just games coming out over the next quarter.
Going in Damon's order.
Yeah.
You want to talk about shrines again?
Yeah.
Ukulele is coming out next month in April. Rhyme is coming out, I believe, in May.
Finally.
Which is another. It'll be interesting to see how
Hila works.
Yeah, after we've played Zelda, that's another kind of seems open world fantasy.
It's also got Witness. It's puzzly. I
It
don't
looks
know.
really close to the Witness.
It looks
if I'm being
gorgeous, and I'm very intrigued.
No climbing, no deal.
I know.
Line in the sand.
I know what you mean. And
Like a Lionel in the sand. You have to hit with stasis plus.
He's never seen one.
he has seen one. He saw one
Wait,
last
honest. I
night.
took a photo of it for a Zora woman.
Fire Emblem Echoes
Oh yeah.
comes out in May.
Well, there's also Injustice and Tekken are somewhere in there too. I think. Or both.
Well, I mean, now you're just listing games that are coming.
Well, those
out.
are big games.
Well,
for
but
us.
are they going to be game of the year? Is Tekken whatever going to be game of the year?
Injustice probably. I
feel like Injustice could be,
a
yeah.
bigger audience and a fan base for it. Tekken, I don't know.
Yeah. What if it has a cool bear in it, or is that Virtua Fighter?
Anyway,
Zelda.
I think Fire Emblem Echoes will be the first
kangaroo.
the first big 3DS game to come out since the Switch is out.
Yes,
so I don't,
definitely.
But it'll be interesting to see. Do people want to put down their Switch and pick up another Nintendo handheld to play this game?
Yeah, like that and Pikmin are huge question marks. Like what it will feel like to go back to, because I've been like,
That Pikmin game looks awesome.
the Pikmin game looks great, but I've been putting off, like there's like a couple last things I could do in Yoshi and Poochie that I thought I would do post Zelda, and I don't want to go back to my 3DS at all. Like even picking it up, it feels weird, and the screen seems really small.
Yeah, I could have helped you made that decision.
So I like how a bunch of armchair analysts are like, and including us, we're the experts. We're gonna tell Nintendo what to do. And then they release Mario Maker on the 3DS, and it sells through the roof. Like, it sold so well.
Mario Maker on 3DS did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't even know that.
Because it was like a gimped version of the game, right?
And it's like okay, maybe Nintendo, a company that's been
couldn't
around
share
for
levels.
100 years.
But
I mean,
they
the
made so
test-
many to play.
The
It's a
test
good
is
Mario
Pokemon
game.
because Pokemon came out. Pokemon Black and White 2 still came out in original DS after 3DS was out.
Yeah, Pokemon
So
has
if
always gone after install base.
the rumor is, Pokemon Stars, and there were these job listings that seemed to hint at them doing something for Switch. But if the next Pokemon game were to still be on 3DS, that keeps the 3DS alive for at least another year.
Yep.
You mentioned Mass Effect.
I did.
The big question on my mind is this the end of Mass Effect? Is Mass Effect Andromeda the last Mass Effect game?
No.
People are still buying it and playing it.
Think so?
I bet you it's
Also-
still number one MPD.
You think it'll be number one
Well, maybe Zelda will actually.
in March?
Yeah. No, because it was at the end of the month. Okay.
Mass Effect is
It'll
Zelda.
be
No, Zelda's limited by its console.
Yeah.
Like, it's
I mean,
really
yeah.
tough for Zelda.
Unless they roll up the SKU.
Zelda
with-
won't
I
be
mean,
number one because it's an exclusive. Multi-platform games
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, but like everyone who bought a Switch bought it. So if you figure they sold 2 million Switches, Zelda has 2 million off the bat plus whatever's on Wii U. I think 3
I
million.
think it's
for
a
Mass
crazy.
Effect.
It's actually a crazy stat. Like only 89% of people who bought a Switch bought Zelda.
What are you doing?
I know. It's like, well, what are those 11% doing?
I mean, like there's Shovel Knight.
Wait,
there's-
is that a thing, or are you
That's
guessing
a real.
that?
No, that's a real stat. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But that's always like there's people that bought an N64 without Super Mario 64. Like,
That's when you're like,
Pilot wings for
that's
me, thank
poll
you.
results just being completely
yeah,
off.
that's people. That's babies just clicking through the poll
Yeah,
that don't
maybe.
know what they're doing.
I mean,
No,
89%
Mass
is like an insane attach rate, but still.
People love the Mass Effect series, and for good reason. They like the music, they like the alien races. Like that feels like
They like the boning.
Yeah, and they like the boning, and returning to that universe or that galaxy feels like a return home for people. Like that's a franchise.
It's a different galaxy.
Yeah, that people have.
There's your problem.
Well, and
right
that
there.
I think that's the whole. I think you nailed it though.
So
like
I think people want Andromeda 2 or whatever they call it. Like people are gonna give that game. People are gonna be on board to
But-
see BioWare make it.
They're going to
think
be.
you're talking about two separate things, though.
DTP down to play more.
the
ETPM.
Yeah,
the
DTPM.
the name Mass Effect means a lot to people, and I agree. And that part of it feels like coming home, but it doesn't seem like Andromeda does. And I haven't played it, but I don't know if I think the first half of what you said is true. I don't know if the part about them wanting Andromeda 2 is true. Maybe they want them to explore another new galaxy and kind of start over yet again with the Mass Effect.
No,
I just think there's some,
Like, do people love Ryder enough that they like? I don't know. I haven't played the game at all yet, but it doesn't seem like just from hearing reactions.
it's just
that
a franchise that
want
people have a
to keep
lot of
going.
goodwill for. Like, so I love Dragon Age Inquisition, but a lot of people kind of didn't. Like, their reputation on it is kind of mixed. But that's another franchise that people just really love and they want to be great.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that I just get a sense that people are ready to just bag on and hate on.
Yep.
And then
I
there's
agree
some
with
stuff
that.
that people really want to love. And I think Mass Effect is a franchise people want to love.
Except the conversation about Andromeda is entirely negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was at the end of Mass Effect 3 too. Like everything you're saying
That's
about
the
Mass Effect
thing.
was true up until Mass Effect 3, but like
Which is what led me to ask my question. Like,
yeah.
That's a good question.
Like I think it's fair, and I think that's a series
Come
that
around.
it just had such a sterling reputation, and then
Exactly,
it
for 1 and 2.
suddenly after 3, like
People were-
it became super antagonistic towards
like
BioWare.
The excitement for Mass Effect was at its peak right up to the launch of Mass Effect 3.
Yes.
And then that was such a debacle that ever since then people have been so down on Mass Effect. They took 5 years to make Andromeda, and now it's the lowest rated game in the series, and the conversation about it is entirely negative. So it's like, what EA's gonna do? All right, go back to the drawing board, spend another 5 years making another Mass Effect.
It does put him in a tight spot. I think you're right. Who's saying that Ryder? You were saying Ryder, Andrew, is not a classic character.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't
But
played it.
again,
I'm
like we're
just- yeah.
speaking from a perspective of like sort of the fan conversation. That does put them in a tight spot because they're like committed to like, let's say Andromeda 2 or whatever they call it is an incredible game. It's back to being a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. You're still sort of forced to you're forced to experience this not quite as good game to jump into the story, to get back
But
into it.
leading up to this game, and I
it
always
a
rolled my
standalone?
eyes at it and thought it was BS, but they kept saying this is not the start of a new trilogy. And I was like, yes, it is. That's stupid.
okay.
But maybe it's not. Like maybe they really will just leave it at this and kind of take their losses and jump
that's
into
a good
something
point. They're
else.
probably having very, very hard conversations right now about do we do a sequel to Andromeda or do we take Mass Effect somewhere else?
Especially if the new IP that BioWare is working on does super well. And then it's especially like, well,
Scoop.
maybe we lean into that. So we'll see.
Mass Effect 4, it's coming.
They just go back.
That happens all the time. That's the Assassin's
I
Creed
don't
model.
think so. Yeah.
No, that does happen.
I do want to play Mass Effect. Like I love those games. I even love 3. Like I really do love Mass Effect, but it's crazy because it's so busy. And you and I were talking about this. I feel like I don't want to put 80 hours into a game when I know that Horizon and Nier and all these experiences people love are out there, or even just more time in Zelda. It's hard for me to want to sink time into a game that a lot of people feel like is just okay.
You know, after Double Dragon versus Battletoads, they went back to Double Dragon 4.
That's actually true. Yeah, I don't know. Like I loved Mass Effect 1 and 2. I thought Mass Effect 3 was totally lackluster. So I was like going to take a wait and see approach to Andromeda. Now it seems to be a total dud, but I've got Zelda. I want to get back to Horizon. I want to play Persona 5. I want to finish Gravity Rush 2. So yeah, I'll see you when I see you, Andromeda.
It feels like a game, man. I understand why companies do DLC and all that stuff, but it so feels like a game to wait for the final. Like it's going to be patched a couple times. It'll fix up some of the issues that people are having with it, because it's more than just the animations. By the way, like people are complaining about like I can't complete this mission, it's bugged. Like, so that's a reason to wait. And you know they're gonna have story DLC and some other stuff. Like I'll play that game next year whenever it has its Game of the Year edition or
On Switch.
It won't be Game of the Year edition, but whatever they call it.
That's totally. I love the games they're doing that now. Like Final Fantasy 15 just released that new.
That's another one I'm gonna wait
Chapter
on.
13 fix, and now it's like that changes the whole game. Like now is the time to go back because they have all the character stuff coming out, and I think it's really cool.
I stopped
waiting.
the chapter before that.
Yeah.
I mean that was probably smart.
So I'm gonna wait. I'll play that game on PC whenever it has its Super Edition too.
Yeah. Super Edition 2.
Whoa.
Moving on. Let's check in with the listeners.
Hey,
listeners.
Remember, you can always reach us at the email address, gamescoop@ign.com, just like Nick Manillo from Clevelandish, Ohio did. He says,
I don't know enough about Cleveland to refute that, but that doesn't sound right.
It's not
he's not from
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
It's Clevelandish.
Oh, I understand.
he says, buying a Switch is almost impossible now.
That sucks.
Or at least impossible for $300. My local GameStop told me they'd be out until mid-April unless I order a bundle. For $455, they'll sell me a Switch, Zelda with the season pass and strategy guide,
good.
Snipper clips, and Shovel Knight,
That's great.
and I'll get it in about a week.
About everything you need.
He says, I frequently shop
In a
at
week?
GameStop. This isn't a bundle like an Uncharted PS4 that comes from Sony. It's separate items put together by the store. Although the value isn't bad compared to the total cost, a 5-day turnaround means they must have Switches in stock, so it feels like they're holding them hostage in an attempt to make extra money.
Oh, for sure.
I was interested in what your thoughts would be and if you think this deal is fair or foul. If Switches are going to continue to be this scarce, should orders go through Nintendo directly?
They did
Whoa.
NES Classic. GameStop did the exact same thing.
Bundles.
You could get this weird bundle that had like a book about Nintendo history and an extra controller and like an extra portable charger and all this stuff for like $200 when it was a $60 console. And that I was like, well, that sucks because that defeats the whole purpose of this like stocking stuffer thing. For Switch, I don't think this is that egregious. I think it's obviously in a retailer's best interest to do this. And
They're holding
and
the cards.
Those
in
are
this case.
literally all of the games I think
That's
you
true.
need.
Both Snipper
depends
Clips
on-
and Shovel Knight are awesome.
Yeah.
So
It really depends on what's in the bundle, right? Like, because it's usually, I mean, that's been the tactic for years. Is here's 3 things you want, and these 2 things that are kind of, I don't care about these.
Yeah, like
and then
Mad Cat's controller.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
force you to have the Mad Catz controller. But if it's like, I think I saw one that was a Switch, Zelda, a Pro controller, and a download code for Snipper Clips. And it's like, dude, yeah, that's all the stuff you're gonna buy anyway. But you also need to check the price and make sure they're not like marking it up another $10 or $15.
yeah, actually, I added up the cost of all of that stuff, and it seems to be about $450.
Yeah, it's
so.
the same. Yeah, as
If
long
you
as
think here's a weird way to think about it, but if they don't do that, they're selling to flippers. And the flippers are just going to Target every day and they're buying all of them and then they're selling them for the same amount of money
dolphins?
for nothing more.
Yeah.
No, people flipping on eBay. They just buy it at retail price and sell it for $500 or whatever, and like that sucks too. And retailers aren't solving that problem. Maybe the bundles kind of like eat into that a little bit, and so they get some money out of it. But like the consumer is still seeing like all Switches are $500. That sucks.
I mean, I understand.
I wish there was a way to say like one per person. Like I don't have one, but like there's no universal.
Well, they
system
could,
that
but
you
it's
do
just
that.
Target doesn't care. They just want to sell them, right?
Yeah.
Like
TDC, Target don't care.
TDC.
We were talking about GameStop, but sure.
I'm super sensitive to somebody like you want to play Zelda, don't want to play it on your Wii U. Like people that really, really want to Switch and can't find one. Like that sucks. That's the worst feeling. But I would say like as we're recording this Wednesday morning, Switches went in stock at Best Buy for a little while.
Yep.
They were in stock for 10, 15 minutes and then sold out. And every single one of those Switches that was sold is one less person that's, hunting at their local Target. And
that's true.
Or they could all be going to eBay with them.
That's the thing. That was the problem with NES Classic was that that was my attitude at first too. I was like, oh, eventually supply or demand will die down, but it never did because they're still, even now,
what are
they
they
still
now?
resell for like $85, $100.
Are you
which isn't-
serious?
It's not that big of a
Now.
markup, but it's big enough.
Post Switch.
I just think we'll see, you'll see a Switch be in stock for 4 minutes at Best Buy, and then in a week or two, it'll be 6 or 7 minutes, then 10 minutes, and then I don't think we're that far away from, most everybody that wants one being able to get
They're
one.
also weird. So Amazon has a thing called Amazon Warehouse Deals, and if you go to any item on Amazon, you can usually hit like available from 8 other sellers, and if you click, the top one will be Amazon Warehouse Deals,
Like
and it'll
returned
say,
products, right?
yeah, they're either returned or like there was a scratch on the dock, so someone sent it back, but it works perfectly. And like I got my TV from Amazon Warehouse Deals, and it was like new, and it came brand new and sealed.
Yep.
I have no idea what was wrong with it, but it was $80 off what it would have been. And I feel like
Why are you
with-
telling people about this?
if I ruining your
our thing.
I was gonna say like Cisco, who I sit next
Just
to,
kidding, it's
was
great.
looking at Amazon Warehouse Deals, and they have Switches in stock that say used, but they're $70 off. And
You also need to
might
be
worth
very
it.
careful on Amazon specifically. There's fake sellers.
Yes, totally. Yeah, the ones that are like get a brand new Switch for $99 and they have zero feedback, probably not order from that guy.
Be very careful.
Buyer beware. All right, good news, guys. John from Salt Lake is about to give you permission to start talking about Zelda again.
Good.
Finally.
We're going to get to follow up with some topics you guys were bringing up earlier. John says, I finally picked up a copy of Zelda. I have to say, the hype was correct. Every time I play, I get sucked into playing more and more. I have a few questions. Number one, when do you think we will start seeing Zelda's influence on other open world games? I don't think I will be able to play an open world again and be limited by walls and 2-foot fences. Yeah, so you were talking about Red Dead 2 this year will be sort of a litmus test for other open world games. But I also think, like, I know Ubisoft is going to have another Assassin's Creed probably at E3 this year. Are the developers, are they in the studio being like, all right, guys, you got to program the ability to climb anything, like fast, go, go, go. As fast,
I think
as quick as
there's
you can.
one other important thing that Zelda does that those games are not doing, and that's that it doesn't give you everything on the map. And even Horizon did this. You go to a tower, and it shows you everywhere to go.
Yeah.
And this game does the exact opposite. It never tells you where to go. And that's so important. It makes it so much more fun for us to all come in here and have different experiences and say, I found this last night. No way. Like, if everything is just a dot on
There's
the
a
in-game
training
map,
ground over there, and there's 5
Justin,
little mini
like,
games
yeah,
for you to
or
do.
even
Your-
for missions, the waypoint. Like,
Yeah.
I'm over that.
They're like vague
I'm
enough.
so tired of that. Like, make it an interesting world that I want to explore, and I'll explore it.
Your tweets are like some of my favorite Zelda tweets because like you keep describing it as just like these little micro adventures basically, and that's what the game feels like. Like even the most simple discoveries that you would have in another game, like finding whatever a new town or a stable or something that's essentially not that important, feels like monumental, and you feel like you're like, I'm planting my flag and I'm the first one who's ever found this, even though you're obviously not. But it feels so like coming, like you were saying, coming over a mountain and looking down and realizing there's a shrine or realizing there's something you didn't know about is so cool.
That's what there's so many little like that. So you climb up to a tower, and in a lesser game, or not a lesser game, but in another game, a less inspired game, climbing that tower would put points of interest all over your map. And what Zelda does, it's not that different, but it's a subtle difference where you have line of sight to 4 or 5 or 6 interesting things you can see, and then you put the points on the map yourself. Like every single tower, and I'm so positive it's deliberate, you can see at least one shrine. if not
Every high point.
Yeah.
That's how well that game
And
works.
sometimes only at night, like only when the orange shows.
So they designed that line of
brilliant.
sight. So when you're up here, like I can see an enemy camp over there. I can see a shrine here. I can see, a neat thing behind me. And then I was putting stamps on my map constantly. So you're building your own Zelda map as you go.
Yep,
Even
and
the
that's
map
why
starts tipping you off too, like just water. If there's water in the middle of like a hilly area and there's
check
nothing
that out.
or
else,
an
go
island
check it
in
out.
water. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I played Zelda so weird because I still have barely done any story stuff at all. I filled in the entire map. I found every single tower before I did a single story thing in that game. And it felt so much more rewarding because now as I am slowly filling things in, I can always teleport to the general area where I want to be.
Shrines being a fast travel is such a underrated reward.
And the paraglider,
that's a
just
big
the
reward.
paraglider in general, the ability to start high and go low and have to plot out the stamina you have and think about how you're going to get there and to find a shrine in the map and be like, okay, which is the closest to where I'm trying to go and where can I paraglide, which is at a high point. Like, it's just so smart. I would actually love, like, please tweet at me if you don't like Zelda, because I've yet, like, seriously,
Don't
like,
do that.
I think
he said like the hype was
We're getting
worth it.
comments on GameScoop's YouTube channel about it a little bit.
It's really interesting because I want
I
to
was
meet
in a
someone.
conversation about it.
I want to meet someone who doesn't feel like the hype was worth it, because I'm genuinely interested in the negatives to this game.
I mean, I've heard it's my game of the year. It's probably my second favorite game of this generation, after The Witness. And but the complaints I've heard from people to say it feels like a very lonely, lonesome game. You know, they miss Fee was sort of terrible and too much, but like some sort of just not having the game feel so lonely.
Get the Wolf Link amiibo.
Yeah, get the Wolf.
Well, and that was like The Witness and No Man's Sky had a lot of people saying that too, and even Firewatch, where like you feel like you're isolated.
Yeah,
there's someone in the office.
Yeah, that is interesting.
There's someone in the office that doesn't like Zelda. I'll tell you. I won't
let's
reveal
get
them
'em.
here. I'll tell
Can
you
we do
afterwards.
20 questions about the person in the office that doesn't like Zelda?
Anyway, to John's question, when all these innovations in Breath of the Wild, when do we start seeing them pop up in other games? I know it takes a while
It
to make a
takes so
video
long.
game.
Yeah, I feel like the first time you're going to see something, like everyone always is like, oh, like Battlefield 1 ripped off blah, blah, when it really didn't, because development can't work that quickly.
Or,
I
yeah.
feel like the amount of time it will take for people to actually rip something off is probably 2 years.
I'm not
that's how long-
totally convinced we're gonna see it either.
Yeah.
Like Zelda very much feels like a brave, unique thing of its own. Like I can't imagine that Assassin's Creed after the one that's presumably coming this fall will just completely throw the design in the bathwater.
Well, because it breaks, like what they did for Zelda
Yeah.
could never happen in an annualized franchise, because you couldn't, those invisible walls exist because they have to limit themselves, because otherwise the game would be in development forever, like Zelda was. And like I think that's why Zelda took so long. It's because of the polish. It's because of filling in, making it so you can go anywhere.
It's not the same as like being like, oh, Z targeting. That's a great way to do combat in 3D. Like it's a very hard thing for someone to ape and mimic. I'm not sure we're gonna see too much of it. I mean, I hope I'm wrong.
It's stuff like the Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor. I expected everyone to steal,
no one stole
and
it.
I've been waiting, and now Shadow of War is the next game to do it. Like, and it's so sometimes I think things are harder to implement than we
Do
realize.
you guys think? Are you a baddie in Shadow of War?
Yeah, you're
You're
going
making
to
an
be a
orc
bad guy.
army, and then you're forging a ring of power.
Maybe don't
Yeah.
judge an orc by its cover. Maybe they're nice. Maybe they're good.
All orcs universally are evil.
Yeah,
Wow,
Every single one of them.
yeah, they're bred to be evil.
they could have a change of heart.
I guarantee you, they're gonna
don't
have
think they
some
have a
good
heart.
orc. There's gonna be some good orc crest.
There will be a good orc, and it's like the super mutant. What's his name? Fox in Fallout 3. He was a good boy,
Oh yeah, that's true.
even though all his friends were mean.
All right, this is Mike Gwilliam. William with a G.
Oh,
He says, I was wondering if you find cheat codes to be extinct nowadays.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right,
There was once a time
Dun, 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 dun,
where a
dun.
game menu had a screen where you could input codes or button inputs in order to unlock new items, levels, etc. In fact, I think game companies try to do away with anything considered cheaty. With Fallout 4, there was a glitch where you could sell way more items than you actually owned and make an insane amount of cash. The glitch was patched. I bring it up because it was kind of comparable to the missing no glitch or cheat in Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yeah.
So his question is, do you think cheats are not as common anymore? And if so,
Missing
why?
no is a bug,
Yeah.
an exploitable bug.
You know, this reminds me of The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild.
Oh, the arrows.
And the way to get infinite arrows
It's so great.
and a way to earn rupees.
I need to do
Cheats
that
put into
before they
games
patch
are
it.
my favorite thing ever. And I love them. And they're still in PC games. Fallout has a huge host of cheats because it has a PC console. And you can put in stuff and just spawn an item or give yourself more life or anything like that on PC.
Yeah, I feel like we should
And we're
define
really
those
missing those in
separate
consoles.
terms. Like I feel like the exploit in Breath of the Wild and kind of the stuff he's describing and missing no.
Exploits are different than cheats.
Exploits are different than cheats are different than glitches. Like I feel like there's
that's true.
definitely three. Like the Zelda thing feels like a glitch because it's when you tilt the camera in a certain way, they just can't hit you. And it doesn't feel intentional. Whereas like the rupee exploit, that's built like you're supposed to be allowed to play that bowling game. It's just that people figured out where to stand, so you get
It's an exploit.
rupees every time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Light
exploiting a hitbox.
Like cheats, like way back in the day, cheats like the Konami code, right? Up, up, down, down. Left,
You're
right,
like
left,
Justin Bailey.
But there were still exploit cheats then. So like pausing the game in Bomberman after you fire or Blaster
yeah.
Master
Yeah.
after you fire a shot, and then you or Mega Man and you unpause it over and over again.
Yeah.
It hits every single time. Like that's like a
Yeah.
cool glitchy exploit from that era.
Justin Bailey was a coincidence. It's not
Maybe.
actually meant to be. Well,
It's we don't know. That's the Metroid cheat code. And
For
Metroid,
the-
they just programmed in codes possibly for game testing. Same with Kid Icarus. There's like Danger, Terror, Horror in there, and then Icarus fights Medusa's angels. But yeah, those are like codes that maybe were in there for testing, or maybe as a joke. In Japan, that was all in the Famicom disk system was saved, so you didn't need codes. So they had to add them, and they added them in the localization.
I will say to
But yeah,
William,
games don't have them that much, but I love them. And Shovel Knight has really cool cheat codes.
Yeah, Shovel Knight really does. Well, I mean, that's like one of the many
Well, I
things
mean,
it throws
yeah.
back. If you want that, if you're starving for that, not necessarily for play, but watch speedruns, because the way people find exploits and the way people find
great
skips
games.
Vice City
is
one,
so
was-
cool.
AGDQ was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just great the way that he manipulates the game. He's on like 3 missions at once. No, I mean, for me, I think back to a game like GoldenEye, where like you never ever played that game without paintball mode on, right?
Yeah.
Like when you were playing multiplayer with your friends, and then like just layers, like layer after layer of cheats that were rewards for beating levels. I think you would unlock a new
Yeah.
cheat each time you beat a level on the highest difficulty.
That's like the skulls in Halo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah.
And like there was one, like the final cheat that just gives you the keys to the castle. And I think it was, you could set sliders for like how accurate do you want the enemies to be? How much health do you want them to be? You could make them impossibly hard or really easy and then play through the campaign missions that way. Like, man, like I guess I understand why like a developer doesn't want to hand over the keys to their game, but like what a way to add replay value.
I'm hoping Yooka-Laylee will have it, because Banjo-Kazooie had really, really cool.
But that cheat input was awful.
yeah, you had to butt
You had to
stomp on
ground
the,
pound
yeah,
the
yeah.
whole area.
They weren't found
So
for years.
if you really like, Grand Theft Auto is one of the best-selling series of all time. Grand Theft Auto 5 is like the most popular game we probably cover.
Yeah.
It still is, and our wiki is really popular, and the cheats page is really popular. It's one of the most popular pages anybody at IGN's ever worked on, and that should give you an indication when you're making a game about what people like about games. And I know they love the playground nature of GTA, but they like it also with cheats. And just entering these stupid little cheats that change the game is really fun.
Sometimes it's fun. Like I'm playing all of Breath of the Wild in the Nintendo Switch shirt from the DLC. And like I was talking to
I
Max
hope you
earlier.
unlock some Easter egg for never taking it off.
That'd be cool. Well, I was talking to Max earlier about playing Final Fantasy 13-2, wearing the Mass Effect armor, and like I think it's really funny doing that. It doesn't affect the game at all, but it's just a little funny cosmetic thing, and like that's what I miss about cheats. Like those little like big head mode and stuff that
mode.
like
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily affect gameplay, but it's just a goofy, fun way to break it up.
Some people think that achievements killed cheats.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because they disabled them usually.
Usually, I'm
Well,
playing,
so yeah, so on the one hand, getting a lot of achievements, having a high gamer score became the sort of like new like cool street cred among hardcore gamers, and it also meant that if you were cheating, it's sort of like
Yeah.
it meant that your achievements didn't even matter.
Yeah.
So
a game's smart if they have time to implement it, though. Like if you have cheats on, or you do something in Binding of Isaac that's not like that's not the intended way to play. It just disables the achievements.
yeah,
It's fine, and you can
yeah,
just go back.
that's true.
Yeah, I think I want to say GTA 4 did that. Some other
There's nobody.
game
There's
did that, yeah.
certain games like I think
Spelunky,
about
maybe?
like The Sims or Sim City. Like nobody plays those games legit. You do it. You do the code to give yourself a ton of money, and then you build. Like that's the way that people play those games. It's such a part of the game.
Anyway, more cheats. MOAR cheats.
You'll like this, Sam. I was actually doing a little bit of research on this topic, and way back in the day, developers would put cheats in their game to help them make the game and test the game, so they wouldn't have to play through the entire thing to test it levels.
That's great.
And then when the game was done and it was ready to ship, they were so worried they would mess up the code that a lot of times they would just leave the cheats in there.
Oh, so
Like,
they were a
rather than
remnant
have to
that
go
had
back
stay.
into the code and dig out all the cheats they put in, they just left it
Taking
in.
out the debug. So that's
Yeah,
that's
they just
actually
left it in and
so
shipped
cool.
it that
Makes a
way.
lot of
Now
sense.
that you say
Great.
that, like there is a way to access the debug menu in like Sonic 3, where it's
Yeah.
like level
Exactly.
select and give yourself infinite, and then it had like music
Very
for the levels
common
that
in
weren't in
Genesis.
the game.
One of the weirdest parts of this job is when you see a demo of a really early game with a dev walking you through it, and they like turn on the cheat menu really quick and like
Yeah.
fly you through a wall, and it's like, oh my god, you just totally ruined
it's
the
so
illusion
cool.
of this game.
And that brings us to video game 20
I
questions.
saw you doing a little 20 questions motion there.
Yep, that's the 20 questions. I was doing the 20 questions. Our suggestion this week comes from Matt in Minneapolis.
All right,
Let the questioning
Minneapolis Matt, we call him.
Minneapolis Matt.
Can you see your hands?
begin. Yes.
It's not. It's not. Doom,
You
guys.
just get up and leave. And what do you do then?
Let's get the years.
Okay, so is it after, what is it, January 1st, 2000? Is it released after January 1st, 2000?
No.
Same 90.
Was it released after January 1st, 1990?
Yes.
No.
Thank goodness.
And you can see your hands.
Only 80s kids.
Only 80s kids with hands.
Is this game mostly associated with being on the NES?
No.
Was this game ever in arcades?
Yes.
Is this game pre 1985?
Yes.
Oh, dang.
I'm useless.
Well, it's not Pac-Man.
Well, yeah, it could be Pac-Man.
You don't have hands.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't have hands in the game.
In some interpretations.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, so it was in arcades. It's pre-85. It's not associated with the NES.
Is this a Japanese game?
No.
So what? Atari? I mean, that was.
Yeah, there's plenty. Cinematronics, Atari, Midway.
Yeah.
Well, you can see your hands?
I mean, it's
I know.
They
your
didn't even
game.
invent hands until like 85.
Get really fast. Is this a is this I don't know. So do we know what's on the NES? Because that would really help me.
We can ask.
Was it ever on the NES?
Not to my knowledge.
I mean, is this game considered, like, when people think about this game, is it an arcade game?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. It's like, I wanted to eliminate any sort of weird PC game.
Cool. Is this pre 1983?
No. That's 10.
Okay, so
Wow.
between
83,
83 and 85 is a really weird
you have
time for
hands.
arcade.
Yeah. That was right in the crash.
If this is Dragon's Lair again, I'm going to be upset. We've had it on before. It's okay. Space Ace 2.
Yeah, you're right. That's
Could
a
be
really
Space
weird
Ace.
time. That was a really good question because that eliminates all the classics.
I feel like this is like legitimately might be my biggest blind spot is
this
arcade games from 83 to 85.
Does this game is it? I don't want to go that far. Is this game known for its graphics?
No.
Okay, so it's not Space Ace or anything like that.
Is this game played from a top-down perspective?
Not in the sense that you're asking.
Interesting.
God is always looking down on you.
Well, it's not Robotron. That was probably what year did Robotron come out?
84, because it's based on 2084.
100 years ahead of its time.
Yeah. You can't. Yeah, I guess you can see your hands.
So that's why I was going there.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Is this a sci-fi game?
No.
All right.
Is this Cubert? Yeah, I bet it's Cubert.
Yeah, that game was made by Gottlieb. That's US. But he doesn't have hands. He just has a weird nose.
Does he not have little hands?
He has limbs, right?
He has legs and a
Yeah.
nose.
Yeah.
He has sunglasses. He's super cool. Did this game have sequels?
Not really.
Every
cinematic
answer
universe
is
is
vague
bad.
this week. Every single one.
Is the developer still making games?
No. 15. 5 questions to go.
I don't know if we're gonna get this.
I'm useless.
We're in the zone though. Oh, I know. It's just it's hard.
Western-made arcade game from the mid '80s.
And the dev's gone.
Yeah, I mean they're all gone.
And you can see your hands.
Is it an Atari game?
No.
Because that would make it really easy.
In that late Atari era. Would you? I don't want to waste it. We're getting too late.
I know, we only have 4. And those include guesses, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I know.
If
how
you
the
guess
game
wrong,
We
works.
you
only get
lose.
one guess.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, is it
Oh.
helpful to know if? Go ahead.
Is it based on a license?
Yes. Soft yes.
Good.
Ooh.
Good.
What the hell?
Soft yes for
Star
a license.
Wars?
No,
No,
there's
but
no
that was
He
Star
said
Wars
it's not
game.
sci-fi.
It's not sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars is fantasy in space.
So there's like all kinds of stuff then.
Space doesn't equal sci-fi.
Don't tell me
Andrew.
about Star Wars.
So there's like all these side scrollers from that era, like Golden Axe. Well,
Yeah.
that's right afterwards, but
Oh,
like
yeah.
Rygar,
Is there
and
anything called like Handy Boy,
Paperboy.
Hand-
That's Atari.
Hand Spot,
Um,
Hand House? I'm just thinking of hand names.
What are you doing? Why?
If you can see your hand.
You're just saying words with the word hand next to it.
Soft
Three-
yes unlicensed. What are some famous licensed arcade games
That's what I was trying to think
from
about.
the U.S.?
3 questions.
In the early 80s.
Man.
You can see your hands.
Yeah, that's great. But it's not top down from the normal, what you would expect perspective.
So it would be
That's fair.
side scroller probably.
Yeah.
I don't know what that
I
means.
know.
Or like
No, that doesn't
fighting.
mean
Is
that.
there like fighting game stuff where you would?
Top down from the. Should we ask the vehicle questions? Does that even help?
I like the shooting question.
Okay.
Well, but that's not going to help me. This is
Yeah,
really
like
all
I
you
don't
Yeah,
think it
I'm
would be a
trying-
shooter if you can see your hands. Like I feel like that because it's not like it's an FPS.
Your gun could be in your hands. Is this game in our 16-1 cabinet?
Wow. I think so.
Wow.
Got a 1 in 16 shot. You really narrowed it down. That was
So
good.
it could be like Mr. Do.
It's got to be in that.
No, that's Japanese made.
Mr. D's.
So it
it's-
sounds
it's
like a top arcade game ever, and it's lightly based on a license.
and you can see your hands, and it's not sci-fi.
Popeye?
They don't make games.
No,
anymore.
just Japanese made.
Developer is not making games. Sorry.
And developer is not making
And
games.
it's not Atari.
I thought Popeye was Nintendo.
And it's not Burger Time because that's from 1982. And that's made in Japan.
And it's not. It's based on the classic series of films Burger Time.
So top down, do you pilot a vehicle in it?
No. This is it.
Oh, Sam.
No, because that eliminated a bunch of the games in there.
Is it Persona 5?
Oof. With
you
your
gonna get
last
this one,
question,
Damon?
can you get this one?
I mean, Sam, this is
You're
all
gonna
you.
kick yourself, Sam.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm okay with that. It's not.
We got it. We need a guess,
I don't know what's in our cabinet.
It's not
Well, eliminate-
sci-fi.
or I can
You
just
know-
reveal. I could reveal the answer.
You know, all
Is
16,
it,
you could just systematically eliminate. So, what are the games in there that are sci-fi that it wouldn't be?
I don't think it's in that cabinet.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Saboteur.
I said I'm pretty sure it was. But
Yeah. I think it's something like Commando or something like that. But Commando is made in Japan, so it's really hard. I don't really have
should
a
we
guess.
reveal the answer?
You got to at least
Is
guess.
it going in the loss column?
We're gonna be mad.
Got to at least guess.
Sam's gonna be mad.
We
I'm
got
probably gonna never have heard of it.
Is it? No, that time everything's Japanese. Is it Frogger? No, that's not right. All right, I know it's not.
Can you see your hands in Frogger? I guess you
Not in
can.
the vehicle.
Are you still guessing, or are you
No,
done?
no, I can't get it.
Okay. Released in 1983. Published, not developed, but published by Bally Midway.
Root beer tapper.
It's just Tapper.
Okay, got it.
Loosely based because it was like a partnership with Budweiser.
Yeah.
Originally.
That's not. I don't think that's in that cabinet.
No, it's not.
We don't have Tapper in there?
think
We
so.
do not have
So
Tapper.
so technically we won that 20 question.
All right,
Yeah.
so I don't think so. We don't have Tapper in our arcade cabinets? All right, well, I was wrong with that one, but I don't know if that would have helped you.
Definitely still would have gotten it wrong.
Yeah, so like the camera's kind of like up above the bar.
So that threw me off so much.
So it's
Yeah.
not top down, but it's not like
I think
side
that's
scrolling.
side.
Unclear
I think it's
perspective.
side.
It's like straight on more than it's
The
not like it's
perspective is
3/4.
it's not real. If that were a real space, it would not make
You would
any
see their
sense.
feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see the multiple bars that he has to work, which is really difficult.
That
So
was
the
a
camera
really,
would have to be like way up top.
That was a really good one. I'll give it to myself, but you don't have to give it to us.
No, I don't think you got there. That was Matt from Minneapolis.
I did get it once you said Midway.
Yeah, well,
So
okay.
What's the wiki gonna do with this one?
You guys lost.
yeah, we lost.
Definitely lost.
But I'm glad. I'm happy with myself
Oh, that's
because
the
I
most
love that
important
game.
thing.
And yes,
I'm
it's
happy
difficult.
with you too.
I'm going out right now to see if it's in our cabinet.
It's not.
I'd be really
tune in.
surprised. Real quick before we go, we've already talked about what we're playing. We've all been playing Zelda. But Sam had the good idea to talk about what we've been drinking
Yeah.
this week. Sam, do you want to share first?
Oh yeah, I had a really. So I'm on a kick right now with Rauch beer or Rausch beer. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's smoked beer. It's so good.
I've had
It's
that.
like-
I didn't even
has
know
like
that's what
a-
it was called, but I have tried it.
Yeah. Some people smoke their beers, and it's never sweet. Usually, it's usually just like a regular, like nice beer with a little bit of like bacony smokeness to it. And I really like that. And there's all different varieties, and it's really good with a sausage and French fries from Germany.
That sounds great. What you been drinking, Andrew?
So I went from being a functional alcoholic to not really, borderline. But I
You
haven't
also
had,
include a coffee or
I haven't
a
had
tea?
booze in 3 months. But tomorrow I'm gonna drink again because I have a friend from New York coming in. So as of tomorrow,
We got
I'm gonna
Andrew
throw-
back.
It's
Cocktail
March
or
30th.
beer?
Yeah, some
or-
kind of cocktail. Yeah.
Cocktail.
I don't like the. I want to go in too hard. I don't want to jump into anything too
Yeah,
crazy.
you're gonna get
I'll
drunk real
I'll do
fast.
like vodka soda. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna get drunk immediately. It's gonna be bad.
No, it's true. I'm a member of a club called the Napa Valley Distillery, and they send me
Oh yeah.
quarterly shipments of sort of craft cocktails and booze that they make. And my most recent shipment came with a Meyer lemon vodka. It's very good, and it's meant to be as sort of like a table sipping spirit before your meals because it kind of opens up your palate.
I like that a lot.
So I'll just have like a little ounce.
Was it
like, right
distilled
before dinner.
from the lemons, as some vodkas are?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a very
that's really
classy
good.
drink.
It's only available to people in the club right now.
Oh.
It's very exclusive.
Would be good in a Bloody Mary, but it'd probably ruin the effect.
Justin, you're a double dad. What do double dads
As a-
drink these days?
As a recently anointed double dad.
Do they even get a chance to do any drinking?
Occasionally, I'll have a coffee in
Yeah.
the morning.
Just some
Occasionally
baby
a coffee.
Maybe a hazelnut coffee.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
enjoy having a delicious spicy water, which is what we call carbonated water.
Yeah.
Ah, spicy.
Yep.
I get
soda water.
from the local Safeway
Oh,
They
yeah.
have a variety of types of spicy carbonated
La Croix?
water. Yeah,
We like La
I
Croix.
don't
I've
think
never
that-
had that, but everyone in San Francisco seems to love it.
I don't like it.
We get La
the,
Croix.
the taste is too subtle for me.
Okay.
Yeah. It is,
I like the
it's not
cranberry
like-
raspberry Safeway brand spicy water.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds good.
No, I mean I don't. So here's my thing: is I'm not drinking, but I don't like to drink when I play a video game, and I don't like
hard.
to drink when I'm watching something because I get bored. I'm just bored if I drink and watch something and drink and play a game. And those are the only two things I do at home.
Yeah.
I really if I'm working from home, like writing or doing some work, that's when I like to enjoy like I have some Four Roses whiskey.
And that's what I miss. Like, I don't miss binge drinking. I miss like a beer with dinner. Like, that's been the hard part because this is the longest I've gone without drinking since before I drank. So it's gonna be weird. But
No, I don't. And I also, my wife's not drinking yet because she's nursing the baby a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And so with her, I don't know. I'm just not really drinking very much.
And that's all the scoops that we have for you this week. When next we meet, it will be April.
ooh,
We'll officially be in Q2 of 2017.
Aw.
Thank
Great
you.
year too.
I know.
Amazing.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Sam.
Thank
My
you,
name is Damon. Remember, you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com. This is IGN Gamescoop, and we're out.